Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram. So who's going to summarize today? I think it was Meena, if I'm right.
Meena Mehta, are you there? I think I saw you, right? Meena?
Yes, yes.
Fantastic. So, so maybe Shashiji, let's stop sharing for a moment. I'll spotlight Meena for a moment.
Sorry, okay.
Let me spotlight Meena. Oh, there you are, Meena.
Great. Okay, namaste, everyone. Thank you, Shashi for this enlightening journey we're all embarking on together. I am going to try and summarize our last session, which was part of the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita on Karam Yoga, a very practical chapter. So it starts with Arjun asking Bhagwan a list of questions about action or karma. He says, what is my attitude in action? Where will it lead me? Why should I even engage in this action? And how am I contributing? Bhagwan says, you don't have a choice. You have to do your yagna, your daily activities. Arjun says, maybe there's a shortcut. Can I just jump ahead to jnana, as that is my true destination? Lord Krishna says, karma is the path to jnana. It's a prerequisite, and action is innate to our nature. So we have to act. What we have to know is which action to perform and with what attitude. We have to perform our nityam karma, which is our obligatory duties towards our mind, body, and intellect, towards our household, our work, our social duties, and that there's no room for laziness or self-centeredness. Arjun says, that is a lot of action. So Bhagwan advises you need to simplify and prioritize. Next question is, with what attitude should I be doing this whole list of karmas? Lord Krishna says, do all action like you are serving God. Work with the yagna spirit, and then the whole life becomes a karam yoga. Work for the total good, which is shreyas, bhavantu sukhina, and then that joy is immense. The Creator brought entire Srishti, creation, out of the spirit of sacrifice, the yagna spirit. So learn from nature, observe the cyclical nature, the sacrificial nature of plants, of human life, everything around you. Cherish each other and attain the supreme good. Whole nature is working for you, but you need to do your share and contribute, as you are the crown of creation. Live with respect and renunciation, and you will gain purity of mind. So, to conclude, it is our essential nature to do action. Karam yoga is the path. Do this action with the right attitude. Act we must. There is no choice with that. Do your nitya karma. Do these with the right attitude and the yagna spirit. Work for the absolute good, shreyas, and learn from nature all around you. Dhanyavad. Thank you for listening.
Very good. Excellent. Well captured. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Meenaji. And for the next week, if there is anybody who wants to volunteer, otherwise I might just go back to Meena, Seema, and Manu to do the recap. So, and also those who want to chant, please post. Otherwise, again, I know Manu loves to chant, Meena, Seema, so I'll go there. But if there are others who would like to chant, please let us know.
Very good. Well summarized, exactly. I think it's all said, so I don't have to repeat now. So what are we going to see in this session? Now, Bhagwan Krishna is again going to tell Arjuna, look, there are some more reasons why you should do your duty. And he's going to point out that he's a leader. And so we might ask, Arjuna might be a leader, he's in the army, what about us? Bhagwan is going to show something to us as well. So we can't escape this in our life. Then how do we lead if we are really part of a team or a larger group? What do I do? Such beautiful instructions Bhagwan gives us, and also to Arjuna, how to lead. And then a very important shloka comes here as to how we conserve our energy to give the best to the present moment. So we'll see that as well. And Arjuna then asks a question which we might be thinking in ourselves as well. After knowing all this and knowing what is good for us and what's not good for us, why do we still do something which doesn't feel right sometimes? And why do we do that? And why do we cause disturbances for ourselves? And what exactly is this sin that Bhagwan is going to explain now and will show us where the problems arise as far as this sin is concerned. If at all we have any more time, which I doubt, but I thought we'd jump into chapter 4 as well. But let's see what how the date, time goes for us. So now Bhagwan has explained that Arjuna has to look at nature, learn from the spirit of sacrifice, which has been set in motion, and as the crown of creation should be able to also perform duties in this manner wherever he is. And if not, if we just take the benefits of everything around nature for ourselves and not do our part, Bhagwan says that life is in vain. It is not good. It's not a good life, he says. And then so Arjuna listens, and he subsequently has as though a question to Bhagwan. He says, any examples of people who have perfected themselves and then again jump back into action? Or is there any need for perfected people to jump into action? Can they just be sannyasis afterwards? Arjuna has still some doubts regarding getting back to his duty. And Bhagwan says, of course there are. There are people who have attained perfection, and there is no need for them to do any action because they have found the source of happiness, that joy within themselves. Remember, Arjuna, all actions we do in the world are for happiness. If a person has already found that source, obviously there might not be any need for that person to act. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show some example which you, Arjuna, are familiar with. And, such perfected people have jumped into action in this world. So you should right now seek this the performance of action as your primary thing. And then he also says, I tell you one more thing. And now comes along with this shloka, 2 shlokas will come. The second part, the second shloka is one of the cardinal shlokas of Bhagavad Gita, and we'll repeat the second shloka twice, okay? So question is now, Bhagwan's going to say, you are a leader, Arjuna, okay? And I'll tell you, perfected people work, but more importantly, you are a leader. So now please repeat after me these 2 shlokas, and the second shloka, number 21, we'll repeat twice, okay?
Meena?
Yes.
Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim.
Karmanaihi samsiddham.
Asthita janakadayaha.
Asthita janakadaya.
Loka sangrahame vapi.
Loka sangrahamevapi.
Sampashyan kartumarhasi.
Sampashyan karnumarhashi.
Now the next shloka we'll repeat twice, okay? Yad yadacharati shreshtaha.
Yadyadeshte. Sorry.
Okay, it's okay. Yad
Yadyad
acharati shreshtaha.
acharati shreshtaha.
Tad evetaro janaha. Tad.
Tene charano janaha.
Okay, Meena, repeat slowly.
Okay.
Tad. 12.
That I should make my screen also larger. That's my other issue.
Please.
Can you give me one split second? Or if somebody wants to go?
No, take your time. Don't
Okay,
panic.
1 second.
You just listen. I'll break it, Meena. I'll break it. Got it?
I need help with this. I'm not able to enlarge this. So let's move on to somebody else. For
Yes,
I
yes.
will follow this one,
I'll do.
and then
I'll do.
next one we will get Sujana.
Yeah, I can try the next one. Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Start
I will do this.
Yadyadacharati shreshtaha
Yadyadacharati shreshtaha
tattadevetaro janaha
taddadevetaro janaha
sayat pramanam kurute
sayat pramanam kurute
lokastadanuvartate
lokastadanuvartate
yadyadacharati shreshtaha
yadyadacharati shreshtaha
tattadevetaro janaha
taddadevetaro janaha
sayat pramanam kurute
sayat pramanam kurute
lokastadanuvartate.
lokastadanuvartate.
So Bhagwan Krishna gives an example first of King Janaka. See, Janaka was also a Kshatriya like Arjuna, and who was actually a perfected person. He had understood what his true essence was. But yet, Janaka was completely involved in his kingly duties, taking care of his people, doing the administration, protecting his country. He did everything to the fullest, even though he had understood his true essence and there was no need for him to do any work. So Arjuna, such people come back and work. And you right now, you have to do your duty so you can get to that, state of perfection. So you must do your duty. And the other thing is very important, you're a leader, right? When you're in a position where people are looking up to you, you have to do your work in such a way that all people follow a right path. A leader should lead people on the right path, and that is called Loka Sangraha. People should be led on the right path, otherwise they'll go astray. And we have seen through history, when a leader is bad, they just brings the bad out of people as well. You don't even have to, go too far. You can think so many people, if they lead people in the wrong way, people just follow and then society will get into problems. So Loka Sangraha is very important when you're in a position, when you're in the lead position. So you should. And then he says this, Yadyadacharati shreshtaha tattadevetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastadanuvartate. He says, whatever a great person does, whatever standards that person sets, whatever ideal that person represents, right? People will follow blindly. It's like the Pied Piper, just follow them. That's what they do. Either it might be admiration or they like the power or whatever, but they do that. So really you should, Arjuna, you can't. If you try to run away from here, lots of people are going to follow you. Not even understanding why you're doing that. They'll run, right? So now Arjuna thinks, me, a Shreshta Purushaha? Huh? Then Bhagavan says, absolutely. Every person is a leader for somebody. Need not necessarily be a national hero or a great social leader. To a child, you see, parents themselves are great. Parents themselves are an authority. Parents themselves are a great example. In fact, we always say actions speak louder than words. So really our actions are what our children are observing, right? So when such is the case, not only at the level of in the family, but also in society, it's made in such a way that somebody looks up to someone else and that person is looked upon by somebody else too, right? So somebody is always looking for guidance, protection, knowledge. So this is the norm in society. So everyone has to shoulder that responsibility. You cannot just say nobody is watching me. right? You can't shirk from that responsibility. So Arjuna, you must perform your actions. It's very important that you do your duty. And in our family life, we know very well if we have children who misbehave, who are not guided, who are not taught properly, whether you like it or not, somebody will say, "Hi, how did those parents bring up that children?" Yes, it will come and fall upon you only. So that is, we know all these things. So we are a leader to somebody. We have to be the leader. So this is even at a home level. So you really don't have to think, I have to be some great hero or anything. Sorry, let me slide. This is better. So the question comes, how do we lead? How can I be a leader? So now these are very important, even if you're in your team leader or a project leader, or you have a group of people working for you. These are some very important things for which Bhagwan gives us to help us become the best of the leaders in any field for that matter. So Bhagwan says now, this is general, not Bhagwan did not say this. There are people who have difficulties who are to be led, and those who are difficult people as well. Okay. So leading them can be a tricky thing, but some simple principles that we can use, So when you say you're doing something, a project or something, now all people might not be on board with the vision we have. Okay. You already have a wonderful vision and you know what it's going to get everybody to. But these people, all the people involved might be attached to some type of, they might have some ulterior motives of gaining personal gains. Most important is, first of all, we don't try to tell them, hey, your vision is not right. Come on, come along with my vision and go there. Don't try to change anything. But just as these people have that, intense attachment to whatever they're hoping to get, that same enthusiasm we display. Just the same enthusiasm, but without attachment to what's going to come in the future. All our attachment should be to do the best in the present moment. So same enthusiasm we should exhibit as the people have for a goal. Let's say they're going to get $1 million. That's not the goal, but let's say that you see how much enthusiasm they'll have. We have to exhibit as a leader, show that enthusiasm, that we are in it like this for some great gain, which we know what it is, just following that path. That's the first thing. And second thing, we should have a clear vision, first of all, where we are taking these people, that, how we are going to lead them, that path that we are going to take, all those should be clear in our mind. How do we achieve that? We should have a general idea already. The team leader should have a general overview of the goal, plus the path, how we're going to get there. All that should be clear, plus who are the people who are following me. You shouldn't have unimaginable expectations of your group either. So think all this should be well clear to the leader at the time. And let their motivation be imperfect. That's not the problem, right? But we are going to work with these people. And then what else should we know? We always have to lead with example. We perform karma just along with them with the same type of, inspiration. And then we have to be, we don't unsettle people at the beginning, right? And then we agree with them initially, but we show them better and better things as we work. And we point out the higher gains as well. And we empower people, give them tasks to do, and don't try to micromanage at every point, but empower them in such a way that we have an idea of what they're doing. And we finally always take the ultimate responsibility so that they know there's a leader who's accountable, who we can go to if there is a problem. That comfort they should have. That comfort they should develop in them as well. So all these things in a leader, if you work with them, what will happen, I'll tell you. When they see that unbounding energy in this leader, who does not get distracted, neither do they get discouraged by small little things which might go wrong, but at the same time has is by our side at all times and is owning responsibility for the project, empowering us in little ways as well, people feel very enthused and encouraged. And they will come along with this group, with the leader. And what happens as they work with such a leader, they see, where is this boundless energy coming from for this person? And it seems to be that there's something greater in this apart from some gain, which I was thinking for myself. And is that what is empowering these people and making them so joyful in their, work that they are doing? Such things, by observing, they will slowly start seeing the bigger vision. And slowly they themselves will change. Slowly they'll see the joys in including larger, things in their own view as well. So leader has a very important responsibility, but it's like this. I'll give you an example, which our Swamiji would always say. Say there's a procession going, okay? And you find that, suddenly instead of going in this way, they're going in some wrong way. Okay, what do? You just walk slowly in front without disturbing anybody. Everybody's following everybody. You just go in the front, and without making too much of a issue of us, you slowly change the direction and bring it back into line. And nobody would have noticed it because everybody is dancing, everybody is jumping and having a good time. Nobody is noticing that you change the direction. And that's what a leader does. Without, very imperceptibly, without causing many waves, will take the people to the right path and to the right goal. Arjuna, you have such a responsibility now. So Arjuna says, oh, really? How do I then do my best to bring the best out of me at this point? Right now, if I want to make sure that I give the best to the present moment, is there any more suggestion, Bhagwan? And Bhagwan says, absolutely. There's a very good, thing that I wanted to tell you, Arjuna, and I'm going to tell you now. So in shloka number 30, Bhagwan says something very beautiful. Okay. Mayi sarvani karmani.
Sujana?
Mayi sarvani karmani.
Sanyasyadhyatma chetasa.
Sanyasadhyatma chetasa.
Nirashir nirmamo bhutva.
Nirashir nirmamo bhutva.
Yudhyasva vigata jwaraha.
Yudhyasya swavigatas jwaraha.
Okay, we'll split it. Yudhyasva
Yuddhasya
vigata jwaraha.
vigata jwaraha.
Very good. Okay. So normally, for all of us, when we're doing work, we leak out our energy, that precious energy that we need for the task at hand. We leak it out in 3 ways. It's been analyzed. This is the only way we leak out our energy. All of us have this much energy. Whatever energy we have, this much we have. And we have to utilize it properly for a task at hand. But we dissipate our energy in 3 directions, Bhagwan says, and it's very true. We also can analyze it and see. One is we worry about the past. Oh, this happened at the last meeting, and the presentation, something went wrong. Oh, this didn't work, or something sticking in our heads. And some people came and said something not very nice at the end of it. Some comment, something, or myself, whatever, those things are sticking in our head. So worries of the past, our energy leaks out. And we're anxious. Will this go well? Will my work be, done to the best of its ability, in the sense, will I get the result I want? And will it be as good as, that person? Some anxiety about the result. And right in the present moment, too much of distraction, too much of excitement. Oh my goodness, how will I do this? Will I, I do have sufficient time? Will I be able to say everything? All kinds of excitement. 3 major sources of leak of energy. To any task, you analyze it, any task. And obviously, these are important things that we have to do. And when that leakage of energy happens, our personality gets dissipated. We are not sort of distracted, and we won't be able to bring the best to the task at hand. On the other hand, putting aside worries, not really thinking about what's going to happen in the future, knowing that this present moment is the only time I can give my best. You can't give your best in the past. We can't give our best in the future, right? The only time at any point we have is the present. So Bhagavan says, bring your best to the task at hand. So many times, bring your mind to where your hands are. So many things, we hear all these things. Bring it to the present moment. Just focus on the best and give your best. There are many ways we can prepare for this, because, not everybody can immediately do it. One way we can do, this is not what Bhagavan Krishna says, but these are things which have been given in our scriptures, where it says if you can have a nama smaranam, like if you're used to saying a mantra or something before we come to an important occasion, to the place where we have to present, if we just calm ourselves with either breathing or nama smaranam, we can be in the present at that time. That will help us. It prevents us from getting distracted. Some simple tools. But the most important thing is, don't let energy leak out. Let's bring our best to the present moment. Bhagavan here says, you keep yourself, your mind in me. And I'll tell you, he'll explain what me is at the end of all Bhagavad Gita. You'll be so convinced that the present is the best present, and that present is the presence in you. We'll talk about it later. That presence is nothing but that Lord. To be in the present is being in Lord's presence. And Krishna will show us. Krishna will show us that. So at this point, let's not, Bhagavan is saying, don't dissipate your energy by these three ways: nirashe, nirmamo bhutva, vigata jvara. Don't be excited in the present, too dissipating, too excited to do your task well. So this is a very important shloka, very practical shloka. If we can remain calm, collected, be available, we can bring our best to the task at hand. We become free of all anxieties, free of all fears, and we can dedicate it to the Lord. So then, now Arjuna says, how can I do that? How can I bring my best? Because some things I'm not used to and I'm trying to do. Bhagavan says, listen, I'll tell you something. If you focus on your duties, you will not have all these anxieties. Because, duties we have taken up. So these are what we have to do. So it's very something that we are comfortable with. This is the place we are put in, and we have taken the responsibility. So Arjuna, you know what you should take up and do, he says. Now he says, this is again, Swadharma is a very important thing, and we'll talk about it after this shloka.
Manu?
Yes.
Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha.
Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha.
Paradharmat swanushtitat.
Paradharmat swanushtitam.
Swadharme nidhanam shreyaha.
Swadharme nidhanam shreyaha.
Paradharmo bhayavaha.
Paradharmo bhayavaha.
So Bhagavan is now talking about swadharma. We hear this many times. Do your swadharma, we say. How do I know my swadharma? Nobody told me anything. The inclination we have, the tendency we have, the passion we have, the love we have, the talent we have, we come to know. What gives us joy when we do it, right? That is our swadharma. What gives us joy? When we say I'm a musician, I know if I practice well and if I perform and if I learn well, I get a lot of joy, let's just say. And that gives me that my mind becomes beautifully calm. A dancer, as they get absorbed in that dance, right? The joy they get, they know that's also one of their strengths. And then say some people love to teach, and when they're teaching and when they're little children, just such joy. Or when a person is with the patients, and that giving and taking care and having that, it brings that nurturing spirit in me and makes me feel very good. So each one of us will know, because of our inherent tendencies and that passion we have, will determine what our swadharma is. And we'll have an aptitude for it, and we naturally will gravitate towards that. So now you see, where we have been placed in life is where we have to do our duty. So if we have taken up those roles and responsibilities, it means that it is with our own, nobody has pushed us into anything, right? So where we are, if we perform our duty diligently, that will keep our mind calm. That will take us to that goal as well. Not only that, there's a very important thing which is coming now, which is our raga and dvesha. What is raga and dvesha? Say, for example, you're doing something which you don't like, which somebody told, and I'll give you an example. I know of somebody, a student, who thought because of the family pressures that, she had to become a doctor. So what did she do? Because she felt like everybody is a physician, maybe I should also go to med school. She also got into med school, bright kid. Within a year, she realized, this is not my passion. I'm doing something which is not making me happy. So you become miserable. And then what we do, we quit. So, but anyway, luckily for the child, she knew what her strengths was. And so she was able to get into the school of her choice afterwards. And now she's flourishing, where she is producing papers, giving talks, writing books. I mean, it's amazing. So doing a swadharma, what will happen? We will do it without getting, developing strong likes and strong dislikes. We're doing what we like. So we are happy. Our mind is peaceful. So in this way, you're not having strong attachment or strong hatred as well. That is raga and dvesha. And another very important thing for us to remember, especially where we are on the path of, a career. Sometimes remember a little voice in the back of your head should say, grass appears greener on the other side. So be careful before we make big career changes as well. All right. Because if it is something which is to your inclination, to your talent, let's stick on and see where we get with it, rather than thinking that person's job is better, this person's, this environment looks better, and try to jump jobs and things. That won't make us satisfied. So Bhagavan says, do your swadharma. So now Bhagavan has given a lot of explanations for Arjuna as to why he should do his karma and why he should do his swadharma, which at this time is the Kshatriya dharma of fighting a war. For all of us, wherever we are, to do our duty in the spirit which Bhagavan has explained, so that we can all benefit from wherever we are, doing whatever we are supposed to do. Okay. Now Arjuna has a question. He says, all this is being taught, and we know, in a way, we do know all these things, Bhagavan. But why do we still go take the wrong path or do things which disturbs us? So now we're going to see the meaning of sin in this, papa. We'll see the meaning of this. Bhagavan is going to explain to us why, because Arjuna is going to say, I didn't want to do it, but it still happens. So Bhagavan is going to explain what happens. And then also Bhagavan will give us a solution. He won't leave us, doing wrong things. So very nicely in these few shlokas, let us see.
Julie?
Yes, I'm ready. Atha kena prayuktoyam.
Atha kena prayuktoyam.
Papam charati purushaha.
Papam charati purushaha.
Papam charati purushaha.
Papam charati purushaha.
Anichannapi varshneya.
Channati apavashneya.
Baladiva niyojitaha.
Baladivo nichochitaha.
Baladiva
Baladiva
niyojitaha.
niyojitaha.
Arjuna asks a question, which sometimes I think we also feel like asking. Why do people commit any wrong things? And Bhagwan, none of us want to do wrong things. But somebody is also forcing and pushing us to do wrong things. From within, somebody is forcing, pushing. But this is what Arjuna says. That's what we feel sometimes. I didn't want to do all these things. I didn't want to think in this manner. I didn't want to say those things. But something in me pushed me. What is that something in you which pushes you? We wonder, right? So now, beautiful, what is sin? Now you see, sin is not really like plundering, looting, killing, hurting, and all those things. Yes, those are very obvious, gross forms of sin. But look what it is right within us. It's a negative force, and which takes our mind away from our own peaceful self. Our own peace, quiet, happy mind, we're wandering around. Then something comes and we sort of slip and do something. And then what happens? All that uneasiness, disturbance, a little guilt, low self-esteem, what all takes over? Those disturbances which take our mind from our happy self, peaceful self. Or we say we want to live these values, but sometimes we compromise. So that takes us away from living our values. What is that? That will strengthen the disturbances of our mind. That is sin. Strengthens the disturbances in our mind. We get more and more muddled, can't think properly afterwards, right? So here, Bhagwan is not talking about those big gross things, little things which cause trouble to us, which make us distracted, disturbed. He's talking about that. So in Sanskrit, of course, everything has a definition. Beautiful. What is papa? Look at this. Pati iti papa. Pati means to protect. That which protects. Protects what? My ignorance. My ignorance about knowing what is right and wrong. We don't know. We still feel like, so what? That is not right. We still just feel like, so what? That ignorance in us. And as a result of that, whatever negative things that we do, and then those negative tendency which become our nature or, sits with us. And then results in agitation, results in disturbances. So protecting that, protecting our negative behavior because of a negative thinking, because of our ignorance. He is papa or sin. And end result is sorrow means disturbance. Any disturbance which does not make me feel good anymore. It's the, result of this as well. And as I said, it need not be gross things like looting, plundering. That's not what we're engaged in, but that which takes us away from our values, takes us away from our peaceful nature. Okay, ultimately, of course, that is truth, that is God. And sometimes, many times leaves us with feelings of shame, feelings of guilt, and low self-esteem. And result of that is outside too, we're not very happy with the situations and definitely not at ease with ourselves. And anything if you do in the right manner, you see your mind has no conflicts, is absolutely without any problem. So all the things that we're talking about in this Karma Yoga chapter is related to actions. So you see everything is actions, 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 actions. And so Bhagwan is just focusing so much on our actions as well. Now, let's see what are the causes which lead to sin. First and foremost, of course, in our scriptures, they say there are certain do's and don'ts. If you don't follow that, that's papa, meaning if you don't follow scriptural injunctions. More importantly, if we've heard some things from our childhood or from wise people and we go against it, and if there are laws of land and we don't follow that, all of these are taking away from our true nature. And we ourselves, we want to be resolved to lead a right life, and then we compromise on it. And we have a chosen ideal, but we slip away from it. All these don't make us feel good. All of them it'll just add to our negative tendencies. But very importantly, Bhagwan says, secretly people enjoy and don't want to get rid of it. We all know junk food is not good for us, but somehow eating junk food, I'm just giving a very simple example. We know that we should not involve in gossip. We know that we should not involve in certain unnecessary conversations, or especially when a person is not around to defend themselves. We know all those things, but some joy, some little joy out of those things. So he says, as long as that joy, that secret pleasure is there, that tendency will remain. And I'll tell you, Arjuna, you don't think it's somewhere else. Okay, this tendency, somebody is pushing you, from inside. I'll tell you which, the cause for these type of negative tendencies. So please repeat after me. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Kama Yesha Krodha Yesha.
Kama Esha Krodha Esha.
Rajo Guna Samudbhavaha.
Rajo Guna Samudbhava.
Mahashano Mahapapma.
Mahashano Mahapapma.
Viddeyan
Vidyenam
Iha Vairinam.
Iha Vairinam.
Arjuna, don't think somebody is pushing you. Somebody is making you do this. My friend did this. That person, made me do this. No. Right within each one of us, sitting right here, is this thing called desire. Now, a question will come to all of us, and it should. The question is, wow, is anything wrong with having desires? How can we even live in this world if I don't have desires? I won't even feel like getting a cup of coffee then, or a cup of tea. What are you talking, Bhagwan? Bhagwan will explain. I'm not talking about such desires. We all have desires. Even a creature will have a desire. An ant will have a desire to go get some sugar. That's not what he's talking about. Our desires are never in moderation. It just gets out of control. You think you fulfill something and then you want something else. And you keep on doing this, he says to us. And such desires, which are uncontrolled, not in moderation, goes beyond your bounds, not under the umbrella of dharma after a while. And we'll explain this more and more. So, but at this point, all of us should feel comfortable. Bhagwan is not talking about our normal desires, which we have to live in this world. He's talking about desires which get out of control. And we'll explain more of that as we see through Bhagavad Gita. Keep this in mind at this point. So he says, those uncontrolled desires are your enemy, Bhagavad says. And he says that when unfulfilled, makes us get very upset and then frustrated. And then will make us do things, say things which we don't mean to, or, feel, or we will sort of do things which we're not supposed to. So unfulfilled desires will lead to anger. The desires which keep coming up, that is the place where, and explain in the next shloka, so it gets better. So that is the place where everything starts. Everything starts. So when you say fulfill a desire, like, and again, very simple example, if I want a rasgulla and I finish eating a rasgulla, my mind, that little disturbance, it was there before I wanted the rasgulla. I want to have the rasgulla. As soon as I eat it, temporary lull will be there. I'm happy, mind is calm, but it doesn't remain so. Then I want something else, then I want something else. And then it goes to a point where it causes a lot of disturbance and I won't be able to get everything I want. And that will lead to anger. And in that anger, you might say things or you might do things which are not befitting. Okay. And especially when we have strong likes and dislikes, it's even going to be stronger. Okay, is what he says. And Bhagwan then tells Arjuna, I'll tell you where this desire resides and what you can do about it. This is the beauty now. Okay. So first of all, why do we commit sin? The sin is a thing which causes a lot of disturbances. The disturbances are coming because of the desires. Now, where do these desires reside in us? Let's see in this shloka. Indriyani mano buddhihi
Indriyani mano buddhihi
asyadhisthanamuchyate
asyadhisthanamuchyate
etarvimohayatyesha
etirvimohayatyesha
jnanam avritya dehinam.
jnanam avritya dehinam.
He says the locus of this is your sense organs, your mind, and your intellect. Huh? Right here within me? Yes. And we all know this. We all know this. The first contact point for anything is our senses. We see, we hear, we touch, we smell, we taste. And we know all of us know about our senses. It's like, never satiated. So one gulab jamun at a party is good, but why go for the third and the fourth and then not feel good? Why overeat? We know all those things. Nobody needs to say. So the sense organs are the first one. And then what happens? The mind is sort of cooperating with it because it also wants to get satisfied through that. Everything causes a lot of disturbances right there. And when there is disturbances, none of us can think with clarity. So now you see over and over again, Bhagavan will come in Bhagavad Gita to say sense control is very important. Now we know that even in our world outside, for anything, we need to have sense control. Starting from just maintaining our physical health, starting from being able to do our things at home properly. Everywhere we need to have such discipline. It's needed. So Bhagavan is not saying anything very strange to us. But he says what happens, the sense organs, immediate contact. Ooh, I love it. Let me get more and more of it. More and more shows to be watch on for I don't know how long. And this is how it goes. And the mind, what happens? It'll be thinking, last time I had this, maybe I can go there and once again have the same type of enjoyment, brooding over that. And then, you know what, our buddhi will say, not only that, I do this, and all kinds of imagination it projects. The same mind in different ways, it's thinking. So then what happens? All this thinking is just waves in a very tranquil mind. A tranquil mind is our equipment. But we are creating lots of waves in it. And then what happens? We are disturbed. Our thinking is clouded. So Bhagavan says, I know you want to give it up, right? I know you don't want to commit sins, but there is some enjoyment in you in that. So, you have to control that. Best way to start is at sense. Let the mind say, look, you made a resolution. You're not going to go for that second jamun. At least start with that now. So the mind is trying to tell. And the intellect will say, hey, listen, you want to achieve this goal, right? You want to achieve 5 pounds. Let's take again weight loss. You want to achieve 5 pounds, weight loss, right? Yeah, something greater, ideal. So you know what? Let's behave. Now everything comes into line. Everything comes into line. So give it some higher goal, huh? And then what happens? Mind sort of obeys because it also likes the higher goal. Then it'll be, directing the senses, enough. Okay, no more today. This week, no sweets, whatever, this is how it starts. So we all can. So we all can control these desires and the tendency to go away from our true nature and cause disturbances or sin by our sense control, mind control, giving higher ideals. And if our final goal is this true essence in me, right, we can conquer any desire, is what Bhagavan is going to show us. So now let's just recollect till here, okay? And of course, a great person's hallmark is that perfect control over senses. So it starts with that, but give it a higher thing to hold on to. You can't suppress your senses. That is called suppression. It'll never work. It'll burst like a dam. Sublimation is where you hold on to something higher, and then the senses, the mind, everything will obey. Suppression will not work. Sublimation is the way to go. Okay. So now we all have clearly seen this path. We are coming to the end of this chapter of Karma Yoga. Action is unavoidable. We are very clear. We have to do our duties where we are, in the stage of life we are in, according to the roles and responsibilities we have taken. We have to perform our duties. There is no excuses, no laziness. We watched, even nature is trying to teach us. So we have to live with that spirit of sacrifice. What is the sacrifice we're doing? Our time, our energy, our resources to be employed to do our duty. And never forget, we are always an example to someone who's looking up to us. So our action, our attitude matters. Someone is watching us all the time. And then if we let only our personal desires get very strong, then we'll have these likes and dislikes, and we do things which is, that we ourselves don't feel comfortable. We ourselves get disturbed. That is sin. Okay, disturbances will move us away from a peaceful place. And so sense control is very important. And with higher ideals, goal, mind will forget its pettiness. Will feel happy to comply. Okay. So Bhagavan Krishna is showing us, without changing the situation which you and I are in, without moving away from where we are, we can efficiently perform our activities. We'll fulfill our duties responsibly. We'll keep our mind focused in the present, and we'll give the best to the task, any task we take up at hand. We minimize our mental energy dissipation. And when we do our very best, we are very calm. Best is all we can do. So this is how we're going to develop that samatvam yoga uchyate, that equanimity at all times. So how he's gently leading us to develop that calm mind, to come to our true nature. I think we cannot go to the fourth chapter today, but that's a beautiful chapter. We can continue in our next session. And Bhagwan is going to talk about some beautiful things. It's now going to be an extension of not just you and me, but he's going to talk about society. Very important topic of caste system is going to come. So we should have some clarity in that, and avatar and many more things. So we'll wait for that for the next session. All right. Now let me just recite the Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, and then we can, I thought I'll do all this now. These are important topics and I don't want to compromise on that. So let me finish this, then we'll have question answers. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.